Hi again. I'm Deb James, the Wellness RN for you, and I'm here with another tip for practical dementia care. So let's talk medications. Now, we know the importance of taking medications on time, taking the right medication. Those things are important. But when you're dealing with a loved one with dementia, the other issue of importance is making sure that your loved one is safe from hurting themselves. Perfect example. My father, we had him, we had a pretty good routine for him. You know, how his medications were set up. We had a medication nurse that did his and my mom's medications weekly. And we had him we had that routine of which ones to take what day and what order they went in terms of the pill box. Well, one time while my husband and I were visiting, my husband came into the room and said to me, your dad is doing some things with his meds. And I said, okay, what is he doing? I mean, he knows which one he's supposed to be taking. He said, well, right now he's taking them out of the individual day doses, morning and evening, and he is sorting them by color code. Oh my God, really? Yeah, not a good thing. Not a good thing. So we ended up having to find another means of dispensing medications. Now, I did mention that we had a medication nurse that we hired to go in, and she would make sure that their pill boxes were filled each week. If there were any medications that need to be picked up, she would pick them up. If there were any refills that were needed, she would call them in. We thought, oh, good deal, no problem. Yeah, not so much. So we had to add an extra step. So one of the things that I did was I got a toolbox, and I got a lock to put on it. So I had all of the medications in one place. That way I knew that there wasn't a possibility of them taking too many or saying that they took them and instead putting them back in the bottle. You know, all those little things you just don't think about happening. So that was step number one. Step number two was finding a device that would dispense the meds at the proper time. I did some research. I found a device that you could set up depending on how many pills a day and what time of day they were needed. You could set up a routine of pills for either 7 days or up to 28 days. And you would set the alarm for when the medication needed to be taken. So when it was time for the medication to be taken, a little chime would ring, and the only thing that needed to be done was they could take the device, flip it over sideways so that the medicine would come out. And that would stop the alarm, and then that way they could take their medication. And the nice thing about that device was that the medication was available until the next medication due came around. So essentially, if they didn't take it when they were supposed to, and a time came up for a different medication to be taken, they couldn't get to that old medication anymore. They couldn't get to that previous one. So that was another way of seeing which medications were being taken and which weren't, to an extent. Now, granted, every system has failure points. When we first started using it, my father would take his medication, as soon as the alarm went off, he'd go get it, take it. My mother, on the other hand, was not so diligent. The problem was that the alarm kept going until either she took it or an hour, I believe it was an hour or 2 hours had passed. Because when you're administering meds, you can do an hour before or an hour after. So I think it would go for an hour. And that did not sit well with my dad. And he would bug my mother to take her medicine. And she would say, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I know when I'm supposed to take it. And eventually he took the batteries out of the device. And then later on called my brother to say, can you come over here and fix this thing? It's not working now. It's like, oh, yeah. Oh, my Lord. Okay, batteries are out. So my brother calls me, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And I said, well, if I remember, it should be such that if the batteries are taken out, it will maintain the program that you have programmed in, the times and what have you that you have programmed in. I said, for at least a good 12 hours. So luckily that was the case. And so my brother put the batteries back in and reminded my parents that they were not to take out the batteries. Of course, that meant my father hounded my mother about taking her meds. And that led to a whole nother story. But medication safety is something that's very important. If you have someone that can be there every day at the time that they need to be given, then that's great. But don't rely on putting the pills out and saying, okay, this one's for breakfast, this one's at lunch, this one's at dinner, and expecting that routine to be followed. Initially, it may very well be, but at some point, the memory connection is not going to be there, and that can lead to some serious problems, especially depending on what type of medication is being taken. Okay, so that's your tip for this week. And if you have any questions, you can contact me through my website, angelictouchhealthandwellness.net. You can email me directly, deb.wellnessrn, the number 4, the letter U, gmail.com, deb.wellnessrn for you at gmail.com. You can also check out my YouTube channel, Practical Dementia Care, for other tips and notes of support. I also want to let you know that if you missed my live recordings of my Practical Dementia Care Action Guide, I do have the videos available. Contact me. Let me know if you're interested. I have a very good price for them right now. And in a few months, the price will be going up because I'll be adding more to it. All right, it's a 6-week course, and you do 1 video a week. That gives you time to digest the information as well as implement it. All right, so again, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.